Hi, thank you for joining. I'm chairman of SIPA, Saskatchewan Irrigation Projects Association, and what our activities are for the year. It's been a really good year considering the COVID going on. It's been very good for irrigation front. So this is what our goals and objectives are. We advocate for irrigation concerns to the government. We promote benefits of irrigation. We provide direct input to develop irrigation strategies and setting policies that impact Saskatchewan agriculture and economy and assist in the expansion of irrigable acres. So along with everything else going on, July 2nd, I got a phone call and I was graciously invited to the Parliament in Regina along with our board member, Larry Lee, and he's also the chairman of the McCrory Irrigation District. And there was an announcement of $4 billion, and we had no idea this was coming. We were just told to come and, oh, something happened here. We were just told to come and be there for an announcement. And with the COVID protocols and everything, we got screened going in, and yeah, it was a very good day for Saskatchewan, for agriculture, and the economy. We also, in 2018, as well as 2019, as well as this year, we participated in the WD Water Summit. And what that is that was sponsored with the federal government, and it was put in Regina there. And Mr. Goodale was the guy that was heading up that. And then it was continued with a water workshop, as well as Jaleel from the WD Western Economic Diversification Center was mandated from the federal government to do a report on the water strategies for Saskatchewan and whether it's economically feasible. And the report came out here this summer, and it was endorsing exactly what the provincial government was doing too. So that's a win-win on both fronts. We have also been assisting engineers for the WD report as well, with developing and getting materials that are needed to help them along with their report. And thankfully, the Qu'Appelle South Irrigation District had a lot of previous work and information stored on file, so it actually was very easy to get going. And Sandra and Blaine White, they both did lots of work in making this a reality. As well as the West Side project, we've been helping to support their boards as well with this project, and it's been really full steam ahead as far as I'm concerned. Like, you don't see a whole lot going on out in the field as far as digging and everything like that, but there's definitely been lots of meetings and lots of phone calls, and all ministry staff have been working on this pretty much tirelessly all throughout the election as well. Myself and Sandra also, we participate in the Water Council for Saskatchewan meetings, and that's hosted by the Saskatchewan Chamber of Commerce. And that is actually a really good council to be on, because we are helping with different water concerns throughout the province versus drainage, water conservation. We are hearing everybody like Mosaic and a couple other places as to what their water intake is, what they recycle. And it's been a really good story to be on this board and hearing what everybody's been doing with the waterfront for Saskatchewan. We've also participated in some meetings with the Canada Water Agency, and that's kind of a new thing. It's federally spearheaded, and we have a submission to make this winter, and it's been interesting. There's lots of talk about water throughout the province and throughout Canada. And, you know, let's face it, Canada has got a lot of water versus some of the other countries and states and stuff like that. So we're actually in a pretty niche little market here. Benefits of irrigation. We've participated in tours with ministers and staff for federal, provincial governments. We had tours around Lake Diefenbaker, through the Qu'Appelle River systems, and basically promoting Saskatchewan and what we have to offer, right? And reiterating the beliefs that a lot of the rural farmers have, that we can be a leader in in vegetable growing and crop exporting and stuff instead of being importing it all, right? And what a better time to do it when there's more focus on where we get our food from and buying locally and stuff like that. It's basically a perfect storm. We've also been the crop production show early January of 2020. We have a booth there every year, except for this year. It's been canceled due to COVID concerns, which is probably a good thing. We'd hate for that to be one of the areas where it would be spreading lots of COVID. We participate in planning meetings and contacting individuals to participate in the video interviews prepared for the WD. If you had a chance to look at their report, there is a couple interviews from producers that are irrigators or ones that want to be irrigators. And it really shows a broad spectrum of the excitement that there is towards potentially a irrigation project being full steam ahead in the next 10 years, right? The Growth Forum of Agricultural Producers Association, APAS, we participated and was a sponsor for that. And that was basically, we had some election materials prior to that there was 7 questions given out to all of the participants in the election, and they had the chance to answer on the agricultural concerns that we have throughout the province. That actually worked out pretty good, and it wasn't what they originally planned due to COVID, but I tell you what, it sure went off without a hitch. Thanks for everybody that was involved with that. We continue to emphasize that irrigation strategy should be based on 5 principles. Universal. All programs should be equal to all irrigators. Now that is very important because in the past there's been, if you were part of a district, you had maybe a little bit different programs, and private irrigators a little bit different programs, and we found that it actually created segregation between farmers and people that are trying to irrigate. So thankfully the ministry has recognized that, and all programs that have come through are equal on all fields for all irrigators. And another thing we wanted to do is have it long term. We don't want to just have a couple-year program because it takes a while for people to get organized and get the studies done so that they can get something in that's sustainable, right? And that leads into sustainable program funding. We want to be able to have that sustainable every year so it's used for everybody, and it's been working really good. And also we have very good cooperation with the government ministries and agencies and crowns. We're all working together very good. It's a very cohesive group, especially lately. It's been very, very good. And another thing that we've been trying to develop is a one-stop shop for programs and for new development. Like in the past, there's been times where you have to go to Ministry of Ag office, Water Security Agency, SaskPower, et cetera, and we're trying to get it all so it's as easy and seamless as possible for especially new irrigators that have not developed irrigation before. And that would be very important moving ahead. We continue to participate in meetings and modernize Saskatchewan Irrigation Act and regulations. The act has just been opened up most recently. The last time it was in 1996. And now we have the new act and new regulations, and we were involved with many meetings, basically spitballing and coming up with things that would work both for the ministry as well as the producers. We had follow-up meetings with irrigation districts involved in the asset transfer, which was a big part of 2019 was asset transfer meetings to begin with, but since that got wrapped up, we've been following up to make sure everything's been working properly and everything's been implemented smoothly, which has been great. We reviewed the CAP program requirements with Ministry of Ag. We had a couple of issues that we just needed a little bit of tweaking to make it as seamless as possible, and that went on really good. We've also had a bunch of informal meetings with Ministry of Ag and Water Security Agency throughout the year with basically with the new announcement there in July, and that we've had very good working relationship with the ministry, so that works really well. We appointed board members. We have 2 board members that we have appointed to ICDC, and that's every year. And that just works, solidifies the relationship we have with ICDC and SIPA. So we actually know what's going on there. They know what's going on with us, so we can have a united irrigation front, especially when we have people in the community that ask questions, and we like to have the same message going forward, right? We actually new to this year too. We have partnered with Water Security Agency to partner in a pilot drainage project incorporating drainage and irrigation. Now that has been pretty good. There's 4 irrigation pilot projects going on in the province right now, and there's no construction going on. It's still in the research stage, and I believe Doug Johnson is going to be talking about that shortly after my presentation here. And it's been very interesting because it's we got basically one here on my farm that we are trying to get underway and have it. So the plan is to have 0 discharge off the farm and utilize the drainage in the area and irrigate on crops growing forage for cattle and stuff like that. And there's another one in the Quill Lakes area. There is also one in the Davidson area and out west. So it's been very interesting to work with WSA for getting these up and running, and hopefully next year or shortly after we'll have some irrigation projects for people to showcase. We've been advocating for irrigation concerns to the government, and there's always concerns when you have programs and stuff going on. There's definitely concerns, and sometimes we have to be the voice for the members to the irrigation, and you know, it's basically, it works out pretty seamlessly because we have a good rapport with the ministry on this. I actually was invited to participate in the provincial briefing for the spending plan in March, and that was all done virtually as well. And so it's been a pretty good learning curve, but hopefully we're getting the handle of all this virtual stuff. Hopefully, when our COVID problems are over with, we're actually going to start doing more and more in person and not be reliant on all this virtual stuff. Because let's face it, we all like to communicate and socialize, and that's where we do a lot of learning, right? We've also had numerous meetings with the Water Security Agency on the new expansion project for Phase 1, Phase 2, and Phase 3, and we're trying to possibly have a new role for SIPA to take and help with the new projects getting underway and hopefully help lead them to a reality. We've met with Sask Crop Insurance this past year as well. Soybeans were not actually on irrigated. They got an irrigated project that enhanced irrigation is called, and soybeans wasn't one of those crops. So whether you had soybeans on irrigation or you had soybeans on dry land, as far as crop insurance was concerned, it was equal yield, and so your dry land yield would hurt your irrigation yield and vice versa. So the nice thing is they put it in their enhanced irrigation, so now you're not penalized for growing it on irrigation. And we're finding that the yields are probably twice as much on the average on the irrigated, if not more, versus the dry land, especially the last couple of years. Well, we also met with the deputy minister on the last slide there, and we met with him in Outlook, and we were fielding questions and concerns about the irrigation expansion with a bunch of the different districts, and so that worked out really well that he was able to come out to Outlook, and thank him very much for that. It is basically the thing we wanted to make sure we are doing is open communication with everybody involved, because we don't want to have misinformation spread out there, because that could just cause grief with the media, as well as people not wanting to support this project. In this project, really, there's not really a whole lot of people against it right now, so it's a good thing for Saskatchewan. We also want to advocate for irrigation concerns to governments. All this is continued here. One of the big concerns we've had right now, and we're still working on that with the government, is PST is getting charged to irrigation districts. So right now, private producers are PST exempt when you buy pumps and you buy irrigation equipment and stuff like that. And there's no reason why, in our opinion, that irrigation districts, when they purchase the same stuff, shouldn't be PST exempt. Because what's happening is it's going on agricultural production and it gets put on the back of the farmers. So, if anything, it'd be nice if the farmers could at least apply for the PST back. But we are working with the ministry for that, with that right now, and hopefully we will come to a conclusion that is acceptable for all producers. We've received calls from provincial ministers, obviously, and it's an ongoing conversation that they can just pick up the phone at any time, give us a call, and no problems at all. We've been sending correspondence on the LJ issues in the canals. Like last year was a big issue because we couldn't apply, or some of the districts couldn't apply Magnesite H, and since then, this past year, 2020, there's been some testing going on. There's been a lot better communication with the Water Security Agency on this, and also there is some new chemicals that potentially might be coming in that's not harmful to fish. And so right now, things are going good. 2020 went really well, and hopefully by 2021, there's going to be new plans implemented, and there won't be an issue with this going forward. We continue to try and streamline the application process for new development of new acres, because the hardest thing is people that have never had an irrigation pivot up don't know that they need to get the soils done. They don't need to do everything. So the most thing we can do is advertise and be there to support people, especially if they've got irrigation concerns. We continue to organize annual irrigation conference with ICDC. This one is actually the first annual, hopefully not first annual, but first and only completely online conference. We've had a couple glitches there this morning, but it seems like we've powered through that, and hopefully everybody can still hear me. We've been involved with the Lake Diefenbaker Task Force on mussels. Now, those of you that don't know what the mussels are, they are a brutal invasive species. They will clog your water intakes for irrigation. They will wreck your boat intakes. And right now, our provincial waters are free of mussels, and hopefully we will continue to do that. I don't know if anybody's noticed, there's been signs up on major highways coming into the province, both from Alberta and Manitoba, that you need to clean, drain, and dry your boat, because that is how these little creatures, so we can say, gets into our waterways. And definitely be patient with the people. There is dogs out there that are sniffing. They're drug sniffing dogs that have been actually switched over to mussel sniffing dogs, and they work really well. And this is something that we don't ever want in our waterways. Like, I know right now Lake Winnipeg is full of it, and so it doesn't take too many boats that are in Lake Winnipeg and drop anchor into our waterways, and it could be a problem. We've also undertook a task of reviewing our mandate throughout the year, and we try and stick to our mandate as the year goes on, our goals, our visions, and our strategy of expanding our resources. We have a possibility of hiring an executive director for SIPA, and we'll see how that goes in the near future, and hopefully we'll have something in place come February is our goal of 2021, and we'll have a common face and voice from our board of directors, so that would be exciting going forward. And because of COVID, of course, we've only had 2 in-person board meetings last year, and that was in the first part of the year. But we still continue having monthly conference calls, virtual meetings, and numerous committee meetings, and lots and lots of phone calls, as Sandra would contest to that. I'd like to thank her and Brenda for doing everything they've been doing to get this conference reality. It has been really good, and tell you what, as far as they're concerned, it's almost more time consuming than it is to have a a live conference. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Okay, Aaron, there seems to be a question here on chat, so I'll read that out to you. So the Saskatchewan government seems to be sending out mixed messages. On one hand, they're lobbying to get $4 billion in funding for irrigation expansion, but at the same time, asset transfer, they're trying to get out of assisting existing IDs with operation, maintenance, and rehabilitation of their existing major infrastructure. What are your comments?
Well, my comments is that's a good question for the provincial government for tomorrow. But really, basically, in my opinion, for sustainability in Saskatchewan for irrigation and drainage as well is what better reason and feeling would it be to be self-sustaining, take care of your own infrastructure. Yes, the government can help you put the infrastructure in and absolutely get things running, but in the long term, doesn't it feel better to be running your own infrastructure and being responsible for your own infrastructure, especially since you'll be profiting from your own infrastructure?
Great, thanks for that, Aaron. Okay, well, there doesn't appear to be any more questions coming in. So obviously a very busy year for SIPA again, despite all the COVID-related challenges. So thanks, Aaron, and for your leadership and all the good work that you and the rest of SIPA do for the industry here in the province.
Yeah, thank you very much. No problem at all.